Hey everybody, welcome back to the Filmmaking and Fandom Station. I know it's been a while, guys, but I've been busy with my own editing projects recently. I've been working on a documentary with Kimbo Slice Jr. producing. Exciting stuff coming up, and I'm sure I'm going to have everybody check that out. There's going to be a teaser coming to you later in the year. You guys will all be able to check that out. But today I wanted to come back with a discussion video that I've been wanting to do a long time. And, it's been a couple of years since the Star Wars Last Jedi came out. And I know there's a lot of people that are tired of talking about it. But I'm not one of those people because if you followed me for a while, you know that I love the movie. I just love Last Jedi. And even though I have issues with the movie plot-wise in certain aspects, 95% of that movie is just amazing to me. And I have a special guest here today. You know him as Maj0r Lee, and if you don't know who he is, he's the guy that edited and produced the videos called The Last Jedi is Amazing and You Are All Insane, and the review of The Phantom Menace on the Maj0r Lee YouTube channel. So go check that out. Lee, how's it going?
It's going great, man. That was the best intro I could have hoped for.
Oh man, it's so great to have you here, and you and I have been talking for a while, man. Like we've been trying to get this video to go along, but our busy schedules have been not complementing each other. But at least we got today to sit down and really dig deep in Last Jedi because, damn, I've been the reason I have you on, Lee, is because I've been trying to find somebody that really appreciates the movie like I do, and I'm sure there's going to be a niche group of people that would like to hear what we have to say about it. As two fans and actually two filmmakers, we're both in the editing industry that just people should know how much Star Wars means to us. So when we talk about this is all through passion, man. So we're going to dive right into it. And before we start, I just want to let everybody know that if you're sensitive to some of the language and, references that we might make in this video, please click off because there might be a couple of rants that go off, and I'm not intentionally trying to have rants in my videos, but it's going to be a heated discussion because I feel like there's some stuff that need to be said in this video about fandom in general, and I think we need people like us to stick up and talk about it because so many people are pussies to talk about it anyway. But I feel like videos like this are necessary because we got to spread our passion for entertainment, not hate on it. But we also have to address the things that are sort of negative in this world, and we got to start talking about things that are more positive in our entertainment. So if you're ready for an uncensored conversation, be our guest and please join us and listen to it. I got to start, Lee, because I gotta say that this is sort of a response video to The Last Jedi is an Amazing and You're All Insane video that you made, because I watched that video, Lee, and I gotta tell you that it's one of the first videos I saw when Last Jedi came out, and what I really gotta say about it is, like, I discovered it after I had bought the 4K Blu-ray, and just listening to a lot of the points you were making about the movie and how people responding to the movie. And, I never like to be the guy that likes to be a kiss ass, but I also like to be the guy that will admit total 99.9% agreement on what somebody has to say if I genuinely feel that way. I feel like I should have made that video, Lee, because I feel like a lot of the stuff that you said in it, it totally coincides with how I feel. Like, so before we get into our discussion of Last Jedi, just say, like, what got you up in the morning and said, I gotta fucking make this video because, shit, like, somebody's gotta say this stuff. Nobody else is saying the stuff I want to say. Go ahead, just explain to our listeners, like, why this video?
Well, first of all, the fact that you feel that way to me is incredible because, so many people disagreed with it. But yeah, as soon as I got out of the theater, I went on YouTube and I immediately decided, okay, I got to do something here because, I walked out of that movie being like, that's the best Star Wars movie we're ever going to get. I'm so over the moon. And then you go online and you see that a lot of people felt the opposite. And, I fundamentally disagree with how people behave when they don't like a movie. Man. It's like,
yeah,
like,
exactly,
dude. It's totally possible to just be like, you know what? It was a really well-made movie. It was a good movie. I didn't love it, but it was well-made. It was cool. Like, what is so hard about that? Why does it have to be this binary? It's shit or it's amazing. Like, that's just
Yeah, I know why, Lee, because the fandom owns the creation of Star Wars, bro.
Yeah.
They own the creation of Star Wars, and they make the movies, so they have a say in how they make the movies, Lee. Like, that's how it is. Like, you know what I mean? Like, people think that they have ownership over the content. They don't.
Right.
They're consumers. They don't have to be accepting of everything they get, but they should have less of a god complex, as in they're part of the production. And let's be fair, Lee. Like, let's really be fair. Like, who knows? Like, there's a lot of people that like Last Jedi. There's a lot of people that don't like Last Jedi. It's a niche movie, you know. And the reason I say niche is because the few people that I've talked to, such as yourself, that really enjoy the movie, seem to be very non-toxic about it. But then you go online, and because it's the fucking internet, you can say everything. Man, you would never say the shit that you said on the internet to Rian Johnson's face. You would never do that.
Right.
Like,
that's
you would
the
never
thing.
do
It's
that.
like these people are acting like this matters. First of all, like, I love movies more than anything in the world. It's what I want to do for a living. It's like I'm as passionate about it as anyone should be. But they're not important. They're movies. Like, these are made-up stories. This isn't real. It's not a historical account. People are treating what happens in these movies as if it matters. Like, what they did to Luke, or what they do to Rey, or what they do... Like, I didn't like that they made Rey a Palpatine. I thought that was lame as shit, but do I give a shit? No. It's a fucking movie. Like, this is a story that is not... doesn't exist in real life. It's not like a thing that we need to worry. It doesn't like affect our lives. And if you don't like the plot, that's just one element of the film. Like, I'll be honest, you know, and this is like borderline embarrassing to admit, but I didn't love the movie Parasite. I liked it. It's super well made. I love how it's shot. I love the editing. I love the sound design. Acting was great. It just looks incredible. But I just wasn't in love with the story. That doesn't mean I'm going to sit here and call it a bad movie. It's just one aspect of it didn't do it for me. And it's not my favorite thing ever, but I still recognize the work that went into it. I think a lot of these people see movies now, especially Star Wars, and they're not even thinking about any of that. They just want to know what happened in the movie. What happened in my Star Wars canon. Like, for example, when Rise of Skywalker came out, I'm not going to name any names, but I noticed some people were, like, live tweeting the movie. Clearly, they were watching a bootleg of it. And, of course...
Oh, yeah, which we all, as filmmakers, fucking condone in the first place.
I wouldn't even think about watching a Blu-ray of a movie like... a bootleg of a movie like this.
Yeah,
Blu-ray,
garbage, bro. Garbage.
But, like...
Garbage bootleg, bro.
Yeah, like, it doesn't look good. It's clearly a cam bootleg, and they're dissing the movie based on just the story, where it's like, you're not even seeing the movie. You don't even know how well it's shot, or how well the sound design is mixed, or whatever. Like, how do you even know what you're critiquing? So, I saw a lot of that on Twitter.
Exactly, and exactly, and I'm glad you brought that up, Lee, because the one thing that I will say that differentiates you and me, it's like, there's real life and then there's entertainment. I live and breathe the make-believe because I edit movies. I edit my own content. Like, movies mean so fucking much to me. So I get in an aspect why people are so attached to the entertainment, because it's escapism and people love that shit. But the reason that I'll say that I'm so fucking fed up with audiences nowadays is because... I'm a filmmaker, Lee. You're a filmmaker. You understand how much shit goes into making a movie. So you go behind the scenes and you fucking trash Rian Johnson. You trash J.J. Abrams. You trash Kathleen Kennedy, who are probably smarter than all of these fanboys combined, bro.
Yeah. Well,
like,
yeah.
I'm just telling...
I'm not saying, like... Yeah, exactly. Like, I know it's going to sound goofy, but, like, it's just fucking rude. Like, I'm sorry. There's no other... Like, yeah, you could say, oh, but these people are making Star Wars. We deserve to be able to be rude to them. No. It's a human being who has a job, and they're working hard. By the way, if you've seen, like, I don't know, The Director and the Jedi, or any of the behind the...
amazing!
Of course,
bro.
of course. But what is the one thing you noticed about them being on set and working and all that shit. It's that they're working so hard. They're enslaved. They're not sleeping. They're sleeping on the set because there's no time. I mean, this is not just like easy to do. And you look at that and I don't know. It's not easy for them, and it's not even fun a lot of the time. It is work. It's a job.
It's work, bro. And I remember, not to get too personal, but I remember, like, since I was, like, 10 years old, I knew that I wanted to be an editor, right? And then when I discovered film class in my high school, like, there were people, like, literally telling me, like, why do you want to do this? Like it's not a real job and all this shit. And then I'm like, I want to see you fucking sit down and do this fucking promo I did for this school, which took me about an hour and a half to do. I would like you to sit down and do the same exact fucking work I did and tell me how fucking easy it is.
Yeah.
And, it's just, and again, like, to the audience listening, I don't want to be toxic and I don't want to be rude, but, like, somebody's got to say it. Like, the code of ethics of, just manners in general has been lost in this generation, bro.
Right.
Like,
there's a serious lack of respect when people discuss how they feel about a frickin' movie. It's not even a thing that should get you this angry. Like, dude, honestly, like, I love that I have the recent Star Wars movie as an example because I strongly disliked most of it when I first saw it. But I didn't go on the internet and diss the filmmakers and call JJ names, like, whatever.
Fuck, man, you haven't even made a video about it yet.
Oh, it's coming, bro. It's coming. But
I'm excited for that. But yeah,
but there's a lot of thoughts I have about I love the film, honestly. Like, I've seen it a bunch of times, and it just gets better with every viewing. I got over the problems I had. Yeah, like, once I got over the fact that I strongly disliked a lot of the major story decisions, you move past that, and now you can enjoy the other aspects, like how well it's shot, how well the music is scored, how great the sound is, how great the acting is, little funny moments you didn't pick up on. There's enough going on in that movie to where I can honestly say it's great. But but I also strongly dislike a lot of the story decisions, and I'm not going to act like a bitch about it because it doesn't matter to me that much. I don't really care. And honestly,
and fuck, man, and I'll tell you this, it's not your story, Lee. You have no control over what happened. So you can't act like you own the story. And that's my problem with the fandom is, like, they feel like they own the scripts that are written for these movies.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I get it, though. Like, with Star Wars, you watched these old movies for so long. You got you looked up to Luke so much. He was so perfect and such a role model. But, a lot of people wanted more. They wanted to see another arc for Luke. They wanted to see more of a story for him. So
in my opinion, we got that, bro.
We did. And with Last Jedi, I mean, I would say the most common criticism that people are saying is that they just didn't like how Luke was handled. And that's a person who just wanted what they remembered Luke being, which is he was awesome, and by the end of Return of the Jedi, he was a Jedi, and he was confident, and he was cool. But where do you go from there? Like, if you started The Last Jedi with him being cool and confident and perfect, where does he go? The only place he could go is, like, being brutally murdered or turning bad. Like, there needs to be an arc. So the fact that he didn't start off like that and he ended up that way is so powerful. Like, to me, that moment where he is force projecting on that mountain, that to me is arguably, maybe the best moment in Star Wars. I mean,
I totally agree with you, Lee. I totally agree with you because the 70 millimeter IMAX theater that I consult at, that actually got me into filmmaking, IMAX being a huge thing for me. I saw the movie 7 times in IMAX opening weekend, bro.
Oh,
and
wow.
I will always remember. I will always, you watch movies and you have this one vivid image of a shot in the movie theater. Right. I will always fucking remember, to this day, I will always fucking remember the shot of Luke on Crate with all of the AT-STs and Kylo Ren's all Kylo Ren's ship out there in the sky, bro. I will always remember that shot and how massive that looked on the IMAX screen, bro.
Wow.
And it wasn't even fake IMAX, bro. I'm talking about real IMAX.
That's just incredible.
That's incredible, bro. But I know I know a lot of people are going to say in the comments. I'll address it right now. There's going to be a lot of people in the comments. They're going to watch this video and be like, you guys sucked Rian Johnson's cock through this entire video. But you know what? I'm going to say it, bro. We're probably going to do that because if it weren't for Rian Johnson, we wouldn't have got that image, bro. And let's be honest. And I said this to you off camera, off recording, and I'm going to say it right now. This is the perfect place to segue from our opening statements to the actual Last Jedi retrospective discussion. I'm going to start it with this, Lee, and I think this is a really great way to start the discussion on Last Jedi. Right, in my opinion, I'm going to say it. In my opinion, everybody has their own thoughts. In my opinion, I believe Rian Johnson knows and understands Star Wars more than majority of the fans nowadays. I'm not saying all the fans, because there's a lot of fans that know Star Wars. There's a lot of fans that understand the meaning behind the Star Wars, but I'm talking about the fans that have just come into Star Wars. You know, the fans that claim they are longtime fans, but obviously just fans of the new trilogy. I'm not talking about as the saga as a whole. I believe Rian Johnson understands Star Wars implicitly more than most people do, and I'm going to state that fact because, you know, everybody has their own opinion on the movie. The beautiful thing about movies to me as a filmmaker is that it's subjective. Everybody has their own opinion. However, you cannot discredit the fact that the thing that it just kind of annoyed me from reading those reviews, Lee, when not the critics' reviews, because they seem to get it. I'm talking about like the audience reviews, that if you're a real Star Wars fan, like I'm just generalizing here, if you're a real Star Wars fan that loved the original trilogy, if you love the prequel trilogy, and there are both, I'm a guy that loves all of the trilogies equally. But if you're a fan of Star Wars, how could you miss it just blows my mind. How could you miss the things Rian Johnson was doing? If you're a real Star Wars fan and understand what Star Wars is about beyond the spaceships, as George Lucas, the creator himself, said, it's not about spaceships. It's much, much more complicated than that. So if you understand Star Wars and you understand it's fundamentally beyond the space battles, it's beyond the Star War, how could you not appreciate Last Jedi, bro? It just really boggles my mind. Not you, I'm talking about, you know what I mean?
Oh, no, I hear. What I think is, you know, Rian Johnson definitely has a great understanding of the Star Wars films. I can't really sit here and be like, oh yeah, he played Knights of the Old Republic. He knows about. I don't fucking know. But none of that matters. Like as long as the films link up to the other films, that is enough. Like that is more than you can ask for, even. And yeah, he definitely notices things from the original films that I don't even know if people care about. Like for example, when Kylo and Leia are having that moment where Kylo's about to blow up is the ship called the Radis? I don't remember. But
yeah, that's right.
Yeah, when he's about to blow it up, that 3-frame dissolve, or it's like a couple of frames of a fade, very much just lifted right out of Empire Strikes Back. Little things like that. Han's dice, very tiny, subtle little Easter egg from A New Hope. There's a lot of stuff that clearly he was paying attention to. And yeah, a lot of people say this guy doesn't get Star Wars simply because of what he did to Luke Skywalker. But it's like, do you really think somebody would watch Star Wars movies and not get that Luke is the man? Like, yeah, no shit. Obviously, Luke is powerful and he's great. But beyond that, it's like, what can we do with this character? Again, it's like, I think he got Luke more than everyone did. Because he actually saw the flaws in Luke. He saw the brattiness and the whininess, and that he was still doing that in Return of the Jedi. Even when he was all Mr. Perfect, he still had flaws. He still was tempted by the dark side. Like that's why the character is so great, because he actually is human. He's not this perfect idol that everyone has in their mind, and maybe that's how he is in the expanded universe. Maybe there's more books and comics and stories where Luke is just the man and he's just a Jedi master and he's training other people. But even then, I mean, Dark Empire, he turns bad. Like I just think a lot of people didn't want that ballsy, honest, dark character arc for him. It's just it was like they would have been okay with that for any other character, just not Luke. Just don't touch Luke. You know, it's like, but again, it's the people that really appreciate good storytelling and want something original and fresh and surprising. You're gonna like it more. You're gonna be like, okay, this isn't so bad. But if you're if you don't care about film and story, you just want a good Star Wars, then yeah, I can see you not being down with it. You know?
Yeah, man, it's really hypocritical, Lee, because it's so hypocritical because when Force Awakens just follow me for a second. When Force Awakens came out, what was the biggest criticism Force Awakens got? That it's too like Episode 4. It's very like Episode 4. Please give us something ballsy, new, something we've never seen before. And what did they do? They gave you that, and you shat all over it.
Right.
Like, they literally handed everything you asked for on a golden platter, and you shat all over it, bro.
Yeah, the ballsiest thing that they could have done was do something with Luke that was unexpected. And it wasn't even that unexpected. I mean, it went exactly with what J.J. Abrams set up in The Force Awakens. They put Luke on this... Sorry, there's a siren here. I don't know.
I hear it. Go ahead. No, it's all good.
Oh,
yeah, it's all good. All good. See, they're coming after us because we like Last Jedi, bro.
They're like, that's it. They're talking about
that's it. No, it's so hypocritical, Lee, because and I'm sorry for interrupting. I just had another thing to say about it. It's so hypocritical, bro, because like I mentioned with like the reactions to Force Awakens and Last Jedi, it's so crazy because. There's a video, I'm going to link it in the description so everybody can see it. I'm sure you've seen it, where I think it's at the South by Southwest Film Festival. I believe that's where Director and the Jedi premiered. And somewhere like that, they had Director and the Jedi documentary that's on the Last Jedi Blu-ray premiere at some film festival. I believe it was South by Southwest. I could be completely wrong. But there's an actual clip. I'm going to send this to you, Lee. I don't know if you've seen it, where the moderator, who was so cool, that asked in-depth questions that I don't think any other reporter would have the balls to do, literally asked Rian Johnson in front of an audience. He could have refused to answer the question. Like an audience of fans, he could have refused the question or went around it, but he, being Rian Johnson, the cool guy he is, he went and addressed it. She actually asked him, like, what was your feelings about taking Luke on this journey? And he's like, well, I equated to King Arthur. Like, yeah, like the original trilogy is him raising the sword Excalibur out of the stone. Then he becomes king. He defeats the Black Knight. But what happens after he defeats all of his enemies? What happens in those later books when he's become the legend? He actually says nobody wants to mention the books that Howard Pyle wrote after he defeated all of his enemies, about his downfall, about his addiction with women, about how the legend of King Arthur sort of weighed on his shoulders, about how when he got older, he was no longer that guy. And he's like, to me, Rian Johnson said, to me, it's a lot more interesting to see the story of a guy after his prime, because nobody, and I don't care, nobody remains their prime all their life.
Right.
I'm a film editor. At some point, I hope to make movies that make a lot of people happy, that makes a bunch of money. That's the dream as a creator. And I'm sure I will get there at some point. But there's going to be at some point in my career where the movies I make are not going to be as strong as the movies that I made before. It's just lively. It's just how the fucking world works. And the way everybody. So, and even Luke has that in that amazing monologue in the movie about being a legend and the legend of Luke Skywalker, and the fact that people who are supposed to appreciate Star Wars about how deep it goes into the human psyche and how deep it goes into Star Wars is about the human condition in a way, right? So the people that should appreciate Star Wars, I'm not saying, again, for you listening, like, I'm not saying you should love Last Jedi, but I'm just saying it in a personal opinion. I don't understand the people that preach Star Wars, that preach about how it touches about how the morals engulf real life and human struggles. I don't understand how people were not for this, bro.
I think I think because you come from a background of a person who like really is into films, and a lot of people, I mean, so many people like Star Wars. A lot of them are just not really that knowledgeable about film. I'm sorry, guys, you're not. Like, when all you watch is blockbusters, you don't know jack shit. And you're reacting to this movie that actually tried to be a real film. Like, it actually tried to have, like, a real theme.
Shit, the whole movie plays like a fucking indie flick, bro.
Yeah, well, yeah.
The whole movie's an indie flick.
Even the way it looks and just the practical effects of it and the real locations. But this is a film for film fans. And a lot of people are Star Wars fans first and then film fans. They're not going to like it. But if you're a film fan first and you just happen to like Star Wars, you'll probably like it. That's how. But that's what I think.
And that's a great perspective, Lee. But and I think, by saying that, I think you misunderstood a little bit of what I'm saying, and I totally agree with you that people put Star Wars before filmmaking, and that's the way it is. But I'm not talking about the general audience. I'm right now I'm aiming at the people who go to Celebration, who read the comics, who idolize George Lucas, as we both do. Like, the people who are versed in Star Wars beyond the movies, Lee. I'm talking about people that
that's what I mean.
Study the lore, study the mythology behind Star Wars. And if the real Star Wars fans understand the mythology behind Star Wars and how George Lucas has insisted it's about change and growing from adolescence into adulthood, about not becoming about passing your prime. If your creator George Lucas that you idolize so much pushed all of this in your face and you ate it up and understood what Star Wars is about, but somehow this new guy comes in and gives you basically the same lessons that George Lucas taught you, but you totally gloss over it. I mean, it just doesn't make sense. And maybe it's because Force Awakens was just so anti that it changed people's perception, and maybe people had an expectation that the trilogy would continue the way J.J. Abrams had intended with Force Awakens. I don't know. Of course, there's a lot of expectation that went into Force Awakens, and the expectations that coming into Episode 8 were obviously a lot different than what we got or people reacted to. But I'm just stunned, Lee, that there's a lot of people that study I'm talking about the mythology. There's people. I mean, I'm not a religious guy at all. I'm an atheist, but there are people that study the Force, bro. There's people that study the Force. They're like, Star Wars is a religion beyond entertainment for some people. Like, it's like a religion. They study the ways of the Jedi, right?
Well, because it's based on New Age teachings. I mean, that's why I liked the healing, the Force healing, because it's like she's doing Reiki or something. Like, it makes sense.
Exactly, but I'm gearing it to those people. But because I've read reviews, Lee. I've read reviews. Like, I think people just gloss over the fact that it's like they look at a percentage of the audience score on Rotten Tomatoes and that's it. No. If you actually go and read the reviews, there's so many people that claim that they're this Star Wars fan, they're that Star Wars fan. And yes, there's a lot of dumb shit on there. I'm not saying there ain't. But if you read it, bro, there's a lot of intelligent responses there. But there's also a lot of dumb ones. And if you read the dumb ones of people claiming that they understand the lore of Star Wars, clearly you didn't. Clearly you don't, because if you understand the lore, then you should. I'm not saying you should accept what Rian Johnson gave you, but you shouldn't be a dickhead, because you should at least appreciate what he did. That's where I'm going for it. I'm not saying you should agree with it, but you shouldn't be a fucking moron on the internet making Twitter handles that say Rian Johnson and all this garbage that people
by the
put up.
way, bro, people were claiming that was a parody account, and it's like, do you know what parody means? Like, for that to be a parody account, it needs to be like a guy like me who loves Rian Johnson who's just pretending to hate him. That is not what that account is. That is a guy who totally hates him. Like, that's not parody. Fucking
exactly.
Exactly,
no, bro. But that's why I love your video on The Last Jedi is amazing, and you're all in the same video, and why I kind of equate this as a response video to that, because I love that video because you have a segment that literally and we talked about this off mic, and I'm going to address it here again for all the listeners. The thing about Lee, guys, if you want to go check out that video, is that so many people take that video out of context because Lee doesn't trash any of the people in that video. He puts the clips from their own reviews. And if the people in those reviews are trashing themselves, that's the point of the video. The point of the video is having a segment that shows the hypocrisy of fans. I'm not going to name any names, but shit, there's a dude in that video that says, fuck this movie, like 500 times, bro, but doesn't make any, and you know which one I'm talking about. And he doesn't make any fucking logical backup as to why he hates the movie. And it gets to my favorite part in that video where you zoom up to his spin and you go, oh God. Like, that's my favorite part of the video, bro.
I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry you had to see that. But
that's so good, though. It's so good.
Listen,
But that's,
I mean,
but
I can't tell you how funny it is to me that you're saying all this, because people have told me that I am insulting the people and that's all I'm doing and there's no discussion and yada yada. And it's like, dude, you think that was insulting? I mean, all I'm doing is talking about the movie, really. I mean, aside from the dude's spit coming from his mouth. But yeah, it's like I never intended to rip on people or like make people feel stupid. Like, that's not, I don't think that's what I'm doing. I mean, they don't care anyway. You think these
don't care.
People are gonna? You think they're gonna watch my video and be like, "Oh, this guy's right"? Fuck no.
I mean, fuck, bro. We discussed off mic that a lot of the responses to that video was hate and shit. You even did the right thing and put their Twitter handles in each of their segments of the videos that popped up. So in a way, you gave them followers, bro. So
right,
there's nothing.
Yeah, exactly. I'm helping them out. It's like, hey, you know what? You probably didn't even know this guy existed. Now you can check him out. If you agree with this, go be his fan. Be my guest.
It's so fucked, bro, because and we're gonna get into the story a little, the story of Last Jedi, because I want to dedicate a part of the video to that. But I gotta tell you, man, we're gonna reference that video you made a lot because, in a way, bro, I'm telling, and I know there's a lot of hilarious stuff in there, and I laughed my ass off. But I gotta tell you, Lee, again, like, I'm not. You know, being in the business of entertainment, you got to kiss ass, and you know how it is. But like, trust me when I say this is not a kiss ass video. When I say that, your video is probably one of the most intelligent ones I've seen, and I've seen a couple of video essays that people have done. But you know, wow. You've made a very great video because not only did you explain why you love the movie, but you exposed the fans that are hypocritical. You didn't go and take random videos. I'm sure these, I mean, I could be wrong, but I guarantee that if I'm a betting man, I put money down that more than half of the videos that you displayed from other YouTubers are videos you watched that's you specifically handpicked, because I felt that you had something to say about each one of them. And it didn't feel like a compilation of random videos. It felt like videos that you watched and just found ridiculous.
Well, let me ask if I mean, yeah, but let me ask you if you agree with this. And this was the goal with all these videos. It's like the things that these people are saying are also being said by a million other people. Like, I picked these.
They have
clips,
no opinions, bro.
I picked these clips because these are the best articulated versions of this same complaint. Like Amazing Lucas, for example. Everything he was saying has been said a million times. Same with Ben Shapiro. They're just parroting each other. So it's not just I'm picking on a person. I'm picking on this complaint that is repeated so fucking much, but this particular person, I think, just articulates it the best. And that really is the goal. It's like, these people don't even realize that they're repeating other complaints that have already been said by a million other people. I don't think they even know.
And not just repeating complaints, bro. They're repeating the same complaints. I mean,
they might actually be coming up with this on their own. That's possible, but they're still just going along with this herd mentality without even knowing it.
It's crazy to think about that, bro, because I'm watching that video, right? And you know, since you brought him up, I watched I watched the compilation of the Amazing Lucas video that you put into that video. But what's crazy is, bro, is like half of the videos, and I don't know if you agree with me, but half of the videos on there and half of the videos I've seen on YouTube are people just making videos to get part of the algorithm to just put themselves out there, bro, because if you watch that amazing Lucas video, bro, he's literally talking about the same shit from from sunset till it's dark, bro. You can see the sunset in his fucking video, bro.
I know. How funny is that? And like,
it's hilarious, and you know that you can't take people seriously like that. You can't.
Yeah, he's got a I mean, I don't really want to spoil anything, but he is making a return in my upcoming video, which has nothing to do with Star Wars, but it's a video game that he clearly didn't play, and he's just getting super butthurt about it. And it's just like, this is the theme here. Either people are not really paying attention to the movie, they don't know how to even watch a movie, they're sitting there on their phone making lists of things they hate about it. They're not even looking at the screen. He admitted that he was doing that for The Last Jedi. It's like, dude, you're throwing yourself under the bus. But that's another thing I've seen a lot of. People reviewing games, and they haven't even... Well, they're not reviewing it, but they're making like a video about how dumb it is and how dumb you are if you bought it, and they haven't even played it.
Bro,
this is a thing.
It's so ridiculous because, like... You have, like, guys like Red Letter Media that make videos, right? And, like, I know they're obnoxious, and I know that they troll, but the reason I can respect those guys is because they put themselves out like a troll. They don't claim...
They're funny.
To not be... They are. They don't claim to be serious. They know they're trolling, and they're having a good time doing it. They're not disrespecting anybody by... the way you disrespect somebody is you troll, and then you act like you didn't. But when you can when you're man enough to put yourself out there and say, you know what, I'm just fucking around, and that if that's what my channel is based on, then fuck it. Like, I might not agree with it, but I have respect for you for at least admitting you're that kind of person. These guys that review these kind of movies, bro, not just Last Jedi, but everything, like, they got no balls, bro, because I'm telling you, dude, I wish, and I've met a lot of celebrities in my life being in the industry. I've met a lot of filmmakers, and I just got into the industry, Lee. Like, I've been doing this professionally for like 3 years now. So, but I've been going to a lot of screenings, and I've been meeting a lot of people. I'm still up and coming, but like the connections I've made, it's just beautiful. Like, I've made friends in the industry that I would have never thought in a million years that I've ever come across. But Rian Johnson is not, and Rian Johnson is not one of those guys I've met yet, but bro, like I just wanted to, because I know he did a Collider Q&A screening for the movie, and I'm great friends with Frosty from Collider. I'm great friends with the guys at Collider, and I just couldn't make it for some reason. I forgot what the issue was, but if I ever meet him, bro, we gotta I have to try to get him on the show, because
that guy. No, yeah, go ahead.
And it's crazy because, I know, and he's done a few spoiler specials about the movie, like Last Jedi when it came out, and I appreciate people asking him the spoiler questions, but this dude loves the movie he made. You can tell he loves the movie he made. So if you talk to anybody genuine like me, you, or anybody else that genuinely loves Last Jedi, that's not there to harass him, that's not there to troll him, and ask the nitty-gritty questions about honest to fuck curiosity about why he made Luke the way he did, why he made Luke, and why he had Luke hold the lightsaber above Ben Solo in the hut. I guarantee you, talking to the right person, Rian Johnson will go into the nitty gritty and explain all of it. But why is he not going to do that, bro? Because he knows he doesn't want to deal with this shit. Dude, he doesn't want to deal with this shit. And the level of backlash, any deep dive spoiler, anybody would... The level of backlash that any deep dive spoilers discussion he would go into would be astronomically insane, because I've been listening to spoiler interviews to this day with him about Last Jedi, and it's very apparent to me now, Lee, that even the interviewers are not asking him the spoilerist of spoiler questions because they know the backlash that they'll get from it, bro. Yeah, like, it's crazy. They can't let this dude relish the movie he made. They can't even let him enjoy himself. It's fucking crazy.
He like, every time he responds, it's always really respectful. You know, the funny story? I was at this screening for Knives Out, and he did a Q&A, and someone in the audience asked him a question about the story. this is like very spoilery, so I can't really tell you what the question was. But he basically was confused about something that happened in Knives Out, and Ryan.
Well, I've seen the movie. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, are we allowed to spoil the ending on this podcast or what?
Yeah, we can spoil it because I could put a description.
We're spoiling Last Jedi. Might as well spoil Knives Out, right?
Yeah, because if you haven't seen it at this point, the whole world's seen it. So you know what I mean. So
yeah. Okay. So
and I think it helps with your context. You know what I mean?
Right. Okay. Cool. All for context. So this guy asked him. Like, he was confused about the label switching on the vials, like Marta's medicine vials. And this guy was just so clueless about... I don't even think he knew who Rian Johnson was. He was just, like, it was just some guy, like, from Middle America or something. Like, he looked like a tourist, and he was just asking him, like, how did she know that the vials were switched? I ended up doing a Daniel Craig impression, but... Yeah. Ryan was just so nice about it. He was just like, oh, well, no, she actually didn't realize that, but she was just good at her job, so she picked the right one. And the guy was just like, nah, I didn't get that. I didn't get that at all. That wasn't what happened.
It's so fucked up, bro. It's so hypocritical. Yeah, it's so I'm sorry,
he was still so nice.
Yeah.
He was just like, oh, well, that's okay. Maybe sometimes we just don't nail that stuff, and maybe it could have been clearer. Like, he literally took the blame for the scene not registering. And this guy, it was so hilarious.
It's so hypocritically because, like, and I'm so glad you fucking shared that story because they just watched the movie and he fucking explained it to him again and he didn't have to.
No,
you know what I'm saying? You just watched the fucking movie and he fucking explained it to you. And it goes back to the last... Like, it's a fucking great, bro, because I promise the people that are listening to this video will get into the story of Last Jedi because I know a lot of you are here to listen to that, and we will. But I think it's very important to preface all this before we can, skip the fandom and go right into the story because I've been dying to talk to Lee about the movie anyway, so you guys are going to hear that. But, it's so fucked up because you... And again, I apologize for all the swearing, guys. It's just a rant. I've finally getting it out with the right person.
I bring out the negative vibes in people. It's my fault.
No, it's not you, Lee. It's not you at all. I'm just like, I'm so happy that I finally get to talk with somebody that's non-toxic about it. And I can just finally say all the disappointment I've had in the fandom because you're totally right about that. Because I'm so glad you shared that story because you talk about. People having criticisms about Last Jedi, and they take to Twitter, and he literally goes into essay mode and responds to them, bro, and they still shit on him. Still shit on him, and he's admitting fault. He's like, I don't agree, like, and he's even going like, I don't know if you saw that recent tweet. I'm sure you did because you follow him on Twitter like I do about how somebody. Said they didn't agree with Last Jedi and they did, about Luke's arc, and then they had comparisons to Return of the Jedi in the throne room. And Rian Johnson just, like, respectfully comes out and says, I love your essay. He literally says it in the tweet, bro. I love the dedication to your essay, but I disagree with it. And they shit on him, bro. They shit on him. He's even though he doesn't agree, he tells them I appreciate the length you go into to explain why you don't agree with it, and they still shit on him, bro.
He's a model person. I'm telling you, like he's just an example of how you should take criticism. Like he's just such a master at hearing people out and not trying to piss them off anymore. Like maybe he said some snarky things here and there, but like those people really had it coming.
He's human.
Yeah, those people really. Yeah, like if you're gonna be really stupid, then come on, like you deserve some snark. But yeah, most of the time he wants to have the discussion. This guy's such a big Star Wars fan that he loves the fact that, or claims to love, just the fact that there is a discussion about it. And
bro.
Another thing that like I pointed out in one of these videos is that like he still loves Star Wars, and every Star Wars thing that comes out, or a ride or a movie, he shows this glowing positivity about it. And can you imagine being him and getting all the hate for this movie and still being happy about Star Wars, like that just shows amazing character. That shows that this guy is an adult and that he's just I don't even know, man. I mean,
I hate to interject in myself in this, Lee, but I think it's important for fans that are listening, because a lot of my audience are up and coming artists like me that like to listen to the advice of another person in their shoes or somebody a little bit above in experience to give them advice about it. And I think, and I agree with that a lot, because, I love a lot of movies that have inspired me as a filmmaker that most people don't. And I'm a guy that watches the same movies over and over and over again. And I guess that's also a curse and sort of like a great gift, because as an editor you have to watch the same things over and over and over again. So I'm glad I have that gift. I'm glad I have the gift of tolerance that I can endure the same footage or the same movie over and over again. But I don't even think it's tolerance. I just love the repeat of the things, and I know most people don't, but I think what makes me a unique editor in this business, and hopefully to future employers, is that I can not just tolerate it. I love watching the same things over again, and if I can love watching the same things over again, it just proves another aspect of why I love editing, bro. And it's the same thing with Rian Johnson and Star Wars. I mean, and it goes back to such the disrespect he gets, bro. The final trailer for Rise of Skywalker comes out, and he tweets it out and says, "I love Star Wars," and the first few comments in that fucking thread is, "Yeah, who are you to talk? You fucking ruined Star Wars, bro." Like, it's so fucked up. This is what I was saying before.
Up. Like, it doesn't matter who you're talking to. You just don't act like a rude piece of shit like that. Like, I'm sorry, not even for Star Wars, dude. I'm the biggest fan of this. Everyone claims they're a big fan. Whatever. Like, I get it. It's precious. No, trust me.
I get it too. I got into movies because of Star Wars, bro.
Sure, I get it. You still can't act like this to people. Like, it doesn't matter that much. They're not doing what George Lucas did. They're not taking the old movies and changing them. They're just making new movies. You don't have to like you can still like the old ones. They're not changing. I take that back. They are still editing A New Hope. They're still fucking with that Han Greedo thing. But you know what I mean? Oh,
man, that Disney Plus shit, yeah.
But, like, Rian Johnson's not doing that. And J.J. Abrams is not doing that. And that's something out of the... And George Lucas actually did that himself, apparently, that final Han and Greedo thing.
He did. Yeah, but the reason I give it to George, bros, and I know a lot of people don't like Hayden Christensen being added at the end of Return of the Jedi, but knowing George, he did it for a strategic reason. You know what I mean? Like, George didn't just change it for the sake of changing it. He believed that that's the way it should be, and he changed it. He believes that that's the greater good for his story, and he did it. But you add, we talk about like people's blatant toxic response to Rian Johnson's posts and stuff, and like, he's really mature about it. He don't respond to majority of them, but you gotta imagine, bro, he's a fucking human being. He reads that shit. And if people are, and I've seen a lot of people online going like, well, he should ignore it. How could you fucking ignore it, bro? When it's all over your fucking timeline,
you should ignore me.
Yeah, and bro, you know how Twitter works. When you get a notification or reply, that's gonna send to your notification bell, and you're gonna see every fucking reply. He's gonna see that every day of his life, and the dude still hasn't gone insane, bro. Like,
it's just he's a master. Like, he is a Jedi. I mean, he is like Yoda. Like, the level of patience and just wisdom that he had.
Yeah,
you know
bro,
what?
Because
I was gonna say something else, and fuck, now it's escaping me. But yeah, man, it's just incredible. But yeah, you don't act like. Oh, I remember what I was gonna say. I've definitely used this example before on some show. So like. And I don't think anyone really gives a shit. I don't think people are actually listening to like all these interviews that I do. But
no, go ahead.
Your fans will not recognize the story, is what I'm saying. But I love Men in Black. I think it's one of my favorite. It's just incredible to me. Like
I do too. I love it too, man. I even love the new one. I love the new one.
So, which is why I bring this up. I really did not like the new one. I did not at all. But did I go on the internet and diss F. Gary Gray? No, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, did you come on my fucking Twitter and said you're a fucking piece of shit for loving the new movie?
I don't
No.
give a shit. And I know it's not Star Wars, but honestly, like, I like Men in Black as much. Like, it's one of my favorite movies. But I don't give a shit that the new one isn't my favorite, and I don't like it as much as the other. It doesn't And honestly, I'll keep it real with you. I legitimately thought it was a bad film. That's just my opinion. And still, I'm not. It just doesn't fucking matter. It's a movie. You know?
Yeah, and that's
cool
crazy,
that you
bro,
liked
because
it. I'm glad that people liked it.
And that's the thing. I love that people enjoy content that I don't enjoy. That it's for them. You know what I mean?
Totally.
It's for. Yeah, bro, and and I don't want to point names to certain YouTubers, but I'm just really sick and tired of people making 3-4 videos a day still criticizing Star Wars, bro.
It's like that's the thing. If you like something I don't like, that's a different thing. But if you're shitting on something unreasonably, whether I like it or not, if you're just being a rude, disgusting asshole, then yeah, now you're good material for some jokes. But
exactly. Because you are the joke. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but if you're being positive and you like something that I don't like and we're just disagreeing, how am I going to make fun of that? That's like,
Yeah,
I don't know. But I invite it.
Yeah,
I'm like
it's a great. Yeah, it's a great segue into us talking about the actual movie now because, bro, like, there's so many meta things in The Last Jedi about Rian Johnson. Literally, I mean, for some that don't know, he also wrote the script. So there's a lot of Rian Johnson in Luke's dialogue about how he talks about, after I saved the galaxy, I became this legend, and but I'm not that guy. I'm not that guy personally. Like, in a meta way, he's telling the fans, bro, like, this is like the Luke that you idolized doesn't remain the same person. Like, he's not the same guy. But what really bothers me about this, Lee, is that it's funny that you bring up all these reviewers in that video, because I think majority of these people that rant on Last Jedi, and this sticks in with us actually talking about the plot of the movie, which is where we are now. It's just so hypocritical, because I know I bring up that word a lot, but I think it is because if they really watch the movie, like, don't they understand that the Luke that becomes the Luke at the end is the Luke they've always wanted? Like, isn't the Luke that he gets there, and people still shit on it, bro. They gave it to you. It's all-powerful Luke just floating on the rock right there doing force projection. It's not the lightsaber battle you wanted, but it's still really... You know how OP a Jedi has to be to do that, bro?
People like, really... it's amazing. Like, it's better than a lightsaber duel. That would have been fine, but it's not the point. Like, Yoda tells Luke in Empire, the Jedi should not use his power for attack, just for knowledge and defense. And what does he do?
Knowledge and defense.
It's like, this is the mature way to go. It's like the most mature... I hate to milk that word, no pun intended, because he milks a horse. But it's like, you can't get more highbrow than him floating there, force projecting. It's like... people wanted this duel. People wanted to see Kylo and Luke fight. But they're missing the whole reason why he was on that island. He felt bad for holding the saber over Kylo. It doesn't make any sense that he would now finish the job and fight him.
And also, bro, even though the lightsaber... Exactly. And even though the lightsabers never clashed, bro, the beauty in that duel, bro, is that it was still, even though the lightsabers never clashed in that scene, it's still a very emotional duel. In a way, they still did have a duel, because a duel still includes dodging and sliding under, and Kylo still swung that saber, bro. So in a way, it's a very cool scene. So in a way, it's still a duel. It's just not a traditional Star Wars lightsaber battle, but it's a duel that has meaning behind it. It's a duel between a tortured kid that was let down by the master that he entrusted himself with. Man, like, you know how much I would pay to see a movie about Mark Hamill as Luke Skywalker training Adam Driver as Ben Solo, bro? Because can you I that duel, that just right there, that confrontation between Luke and Kylo told me everything I wanted to know in that scene, and maybe more than most. In that, I don't know how you saw it, but maybe we can compare. But the way I saw it was the way I saw it was, it wasn't that he was just betrayed because he had that incident in the hut with the lightsaber hanging over him. I think he was betrayed because at some point I believe he really did idolize him, and at some point he really did look up. This is my perception, at least, that his uncle was Luke Skywalker, and that because he was in a training temple with a bunch of other students, Luke was probably like, I can't be the uncle. I can't give you the favorite points here. You're the students amongst my other students. And somewhere around there, bro, I'm sure he felt jealous that the person that he even says that Han and Leia were not good parents. So he probably found like, but my uncle Luke Skywalker, the dude that's a legend, will probably put me onto this pedestal, and he didn't. And he felt rejected by another father figure he probably idolized for a while, bro. And I think people totally miss that.
Yeah, when you say that, it's like, he might have, like, Luke probably turned Ben into Kylo or by accident just by training him, period. Because, he said, because I was the legend of Luke Skywalker, that was enough to just make everything fail. Because, Kylo probably had this expectation that he was, like you said, he was probably going to get favor or something.
Be trained better than anybody else, yep.
But you're right. He got rejected again, and that was it for him.
Where I could just totally imagine a scene, like, as a filmmaker, I sometimes have these premonitions in my head about scenes that we write about movies that don't exist, but hey, that's what makes us artists, right? Like,
Star Wars is filled with that.
Star Wars is filled with
gaps that need to be filled in, and
prequel, exactly. And us filmmakers have to put it in together. But I've always imagined the scene in my head, bro, where they have that talk where and if I ever have a chance to direct a fan film about this, I really want to, because this has been in my head for a while, in that he's training, like, imagine this, he's training the students, right? Like, he's training them how to duel a lightsaber. Ben is there, and just before I continue the story, let me preface, like, a lot of people don't know that before Force Awakens, Kylo had betrayed Luke and burned down the temple not that far before Force Awakens went down. So he was relatively around the same age that all went down, and you see it in Last Jedi, that he's pretty much the same age in that flashback. So he was still almost an adult, or if an adult at that point. So they've been training all that time, and I imagine there's this one day where he's testing everybody, right? Like, how you have final exams at school. It's their last training session, and it's their test. And Kylo expects big praise from Uncle Luke, and Luke is like, yeah, good job, kid, and good job. You did as great as everybody else did. And he feels like, shit, man, like, he sees me as another object amongst these other students. And he's just all right. Yeah, that's shit happens, and maybe for a while he's like, that's the way life is. But after he gets that, what we see happen in the hut, he's like, yeah, this dude didn't give a shit about me. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I don't think Luke was ever, cut off to be a parent anyway. I think that was just the wrong, Leia sent, they even say Han was, he says it in the movie, Han was Han about it, which means like Han probably thought it wasn't the best idea to send Ben to another Force trainer, because he says there's too much Vader in him. Like, what if he uses the dark side, as we see, as it eventually comes to be, but like, Leia thought that Luke could be the father and reach a father figure to Ben and reach the place of the Force inside him that they couldn't, because Leia hadn't mastered the Force ability, even though Rise of Skywalker kind of retcons that. But if we're going to talk about Last Jedi on its own, Leia at that point, as far as we knew, hadn't accepted her entire Jedi ability at that point. So, except for, being able to use the Force to glide back into the the ship in Last Jedi. But I feel like she sent Ben to Luke to have a father figure that understood what he was going through. And I'm sure she had that pep talk with Ben. Look, we're sending you to your Uncle Luke. He might be able to understand what's going inside you, like happening inside you that we just cannot understand. So maybe he can reach you the way we can. And Ben's like, all right, I'll probably try it out. Let's see what happens. And I'm sure there was a time that Ben wanted to get better. You know what I'm saying? Like, he wanted to get better. But we all as human being wants to get better. But you know, at some point when he feels rejected, he's like, fuck, I'll just use this power to my own benefit.
Yeah, and the only thing I'll say to, you know, link Rise of Skywalker into it is that we know that before Kylo was born, when Leia and Luke were training, Leia had this vision that her son is going to be evil if she continues on this path, which gives her even more of a reason to send him away with Luke. And she also does say that in The Force Awakens. She was like, that's why I wanted him to train with Luke. So she knew before he was even born, like, my son might turn to the dark side and be this evil, like, supreme leader. And Luke, like, holding the saber over Kylo in his sleep and all that, it's just something that the character never dealt with in the films. We've never seen Luke, like, go to a person who we think is good and see their bad future. We've only seen him go to Darth Vader and see his good future. But what about the other way around? What if there was a kid who he thought was good but really had a bad future? It's just the reverse of Vader. And that's why the sequel trilogy is great, in my opinion, because it's the perfect mirror to the original trilogy.
Exactly, bro.
It was about accepting your father for being evil, and in this one, it's your nephew or son who's evil. It's like it's even more complicated. It's the next
generation, bro. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's also very much a mirror to the prequel trilogy also, because in that one, the whole point was Anakin wanted to save Padme. That's why he becomes Vader. That's why he's tempted to be Palpatine's pupil, because he wants to save Padme. And what does Kylo do at the end of Rise of Skywalker? He finishes
he gives up
what he started.
He gives up the power to be in love for a few minutes.
Well, he saves Rey. He literally, like, when he was looking at Vader's helmet in Force Awakens and was like, I will finish what you started, he literally did. He got the power to resurrect Rey or save her from death. That is what Anakin wanted for Padme. So it's like it's
beautiful, man. It's beautiful.
It really makes it feel like, okay, you know what? That is something that I can take away from the sequel trilogy. That is a well thought out continuation or an answer to the other two. And yeah, they didn't cram in Jar Jar Binks and enough Mace Windu's, but like they still had something that referenced what the original trilogy and prequel trilogy are about. It's about family drama, relationship drama, and this sequel trilogy had both. Kylo and Rey were the relationship. Kylo and Luke and Leia and Han were the family. Rey and Palpatine were the family. Like, it had everything that it needed to have. Maybe it wasn't executed in the best way, but I like what the sequel trilogy offered. I really do.
I do too. I really do too. And I'm going to be honest with you, Lee. Like, that's a great segue to another character in Last Jedi that I really enjoy, which is Rey. I've always thought Daisy Ridley is super hella charming. I think the Rey character is a very great character for Star Wars. And, you know, and which bugs me about all this Mary Sue shit is because if you actually watch Last Jedi, like you and I did, like, Rey is a very fucking deep character, bro. Yeah. Like, the struggle she's going through is probably
massive.
Massive. And Rian Johnson nailed what adolescence was about through Rey and Kylo, bro.
Yeah.
Totally. It wasn't about fighting. It wasn't about... I mean, I'm going to give you the best example, bro. Like, there's people that fall in love on the internet, right? Why? Because sometimes they feel like they're the only person they can talk to, and they find a common ground with things they can relate with. Same thing with the Force Skype thing that Rey and Kylo do.
They're both abandoned. They're both
abandoned, and they find something in common that they can share their problems with. Like, like as a filmmaker, the dialogue in Last Jedi is just so beautiful, bro. Because like, how amazing is that scene before Luke stops them after they touch hands, when they're basically opening up to each other, talking about what their fundamental flaws are, dude. Like,
yeah, I mean,
like a half hour ago, she says you're a monster, and I know everything I need to know about you. And this dude just poured his heart out to her, and she did vice versa, dog.
Yeah, because she went into the cave and she got the disappointment, you know, because this is one of the things that leads to the dark side. If you have these like these hopes and they're not met, and now you're mad. Like, she wanted to see her parents and she didn't, and now it made her run back to Kylo, because, you know, that's why she's not a perfect character, because she's been tempted by the dark side from the beginning. And there's always been this little fear that she's going to turn bad. And first it was because of Kylo, and there's a deleted scene. It's not really a scene. There's like a deleted line of dialogue where Luke is like, you would have turned to the dark side for a pair of pretty eyes. It's kind of weird. He calls his nephew's eyes pretty. But yeah, it shows that like Luke was seeing into her mind, and he saw that she like had a crush on him. And it's interesting that they cut that out. But yeah, it's like she's always been tempted by this dark side thing. That's why her being a Palpatine works, because again, it's just like giving Luke a complex arc. It just gives Rey this insane obstacle to overcome. Now she knows her grandpa was this evil dark side powerful force user. Is she gonna just take the easy route and just take his throne? It's high stakes. I mean, as much as I preferred her being not a Palpatine, because it's just more relatable, and I like that message more, that you can come from nothing and be something. But it still works. It still is very high stakes, you know? I don't know what you thought
exactly. About it. No, I know. I like the idea that, you know, for the way to end the trilogy, I guess, and the Night and Skywalker saga, I really agree with Chris Terrio, the writer with J.J. Abrams on Rise of Skywalker, which was like, it was very inevitable that Palpatine, you know, starting this whole saga, had to end the whole saga. I get that. But I was also more for of her being a nobody. And I don't know if you have watched the Last Jedi commentary. I recently got the chance to just sit down and watch the whole thing
great.
with no interruptions. Yeah, it's amazing. And
I've seen it a bunch of times. Yeah, it's hilarious.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's freaking amazing, and and how deep he goes, and you know, and I will quote something Rian Johnson said for the listeners in case they don't know, which was like, people complaining about Rey being a nobody, you know, in that cave sequence. Rian Johnson, like, well, in the Empire Strikes Back, you know, in Star Wars, Vader was always a great bad guy. You know, he was a very straightforward bad guy at some point, from episode 4 till the half of episode 5, where he's just this big, glooming, dark figure that you know you have to take out. He's the bad guy. You have to take him out, and the galaxy will be saved. But once Luke finds out that he's his father, that turns everything on its head, and it's the hardest thing that Luke could hear at that moment, where this guy that was just your typical bad guy just became your own flesh and blood, and now the stakes are higher. For Rey, it's quite the similar thing. If she was, you know, a Kenobi or a Skywalker, literally, and you know, whatever, that she knows who she is. She can go to that person. She could communicate with that person and find out more about herself. The hardest thing Rey that could find out in that moment is that you want to find out who you are, you got to do it yourself, because no one's going to hand it out to you. And let's be honest, bro. Like, she went there. Like, what's the beautiful arc for Rey in Last Jedi? She went to Luke for guidance to help her to become who she was. She was never aided by Luke at all by the time she ended up on Crate. She did it all herself, bro. Yeah. Like, and Luke's destiny was never to help Rey. It was ultimately Luke's destiny through the entirety of Last Jedi was just to forgive himself. Like, Luke's arc was just to forgive himself for what happened with Ben.
And I think it was really cool that, you know, I thought there was going to be a scene in Rise of Skywalker where Luke's ghost talks to Kylo. And I really liked that they went with Han Solo instead. I mean, I thought it was really unexpected. I don't know about you.
Because being in the industry, I know some people that have told me that told me the plot, but and that's okay with me, But I thought it was a great mirror to the conversation they had in The Force Awakens before he gets stabbed through the chest.
Yeah,
because he literally says the same words where he's like, I know what I have to do, but I don't know if I have the strength to do it. The same thing. And I want to ask you, Lee, I want to get your perspective on Poe, because we talked about Poe, and I think Poe has one of the great... I tweeted that. Rian Johnson actually liked my tweet, bro. Like, I'm so happy about it because...
Oh, no way.
He's liked a couple of my tweets, but... And this is, again, I don't know him personally. I hope to know him personally at some point. And just a tidbit, he actually went to the high school that was opposite my high school. So... It's pretty crazy. He went to San Clemente High School, bro, because... It's actually pretty impressive, but I digress. But one of the things that I tweeted was somebody literally tweeted out, "Oh, the character of Poe had no development throughout any of the sequel trilogy. He was just this fly boy, trigger happy pulling fly boy, like as they say in the movie." And then I replied by saying, "I actually think that." I think Poe had one of the best arcs in the entire trilogy because, when we meet him in Force Awakens, he is that Han Solo kind of character that is just tenacious. He does what he wants and doesn't think about the goodness. He doesn't think about the consequences of his actions and how that will affect others. Just like Han Solo in Episode 4. But
I mean, were you getting that in Force Awakens? Because I didn't really get much from him at all in that movie. I mean, I think
I got the fact that he was just very one dimensional. That he was set in his ways and he was okay with what he was doing. And that's what I mean by Han Solo in Episode 4, because he's sort of like that before he comes in and helps Luke blow up the Death Star. But the reason I bring that up is because I tweeted a response to that where they said, the reason why I love Poe's arc and the reason Poe's arc in Last Jedi is one of my favorite arcs in the sequel trilogy is because he learned the hard way. Han Solo had a change of heart, but Poe had to. If Poe's destiny was to take over Leia's position. And we all knew that was going to happen. They kept teasing that. And that was one of the things that I really thought stayed consistent through all three movies, which was fantastic. But in order for him to take up Leia's place and to honor what Leia was about, he had to learn that it wasn't about the people you necessarily took out and how many you took out. It's how many people you necessarily saved, right? And it was about how... And Rian Johnson liked that tweet, bro, because I think he understood that I got it. But here we go, bro, because I'm going to use that, and I'm going to segue into one of my actual... I'm going to get blasted for this, bro. I'm going to get blasted in the comments for this.
For what?
One of my favorite underrated characters is Rose, bro. Because I'm gonna tell you this right now. What did I just say about Poe's arc? He has to learn that it's not about the people and how many people he necessarily takes out, but how to be a good leader and save those that are gonna help him eventually defeat the greater goal. Right. What does Rose tell Finn in that movie, bro? Same thing. It's not about just Finn learning that. It's not just about Rose learning that. It's about everybody learning that, bro.
And Rey, too. She chooses to save her friends instead of, like, helping Luke fight Kylo or whatever the fuck everyone thought should have happened. Like,
exactly.
And also, that is kind of what's happening in Empire Strikes Back, right? They're just running away the whole movie. But... yeah, that moment where Poe leads them in the cave and Leia's like, "What are you looking at me for? Follow him." And then she gives that little smile. One of my favorite moments in the entire sequel trilogy. It's so adorable, just the way he marches on and she's just like, "That's my boy." It's
adorable, and it's so fucking earned, bro. It's so fucking earned. It's so fucking earned. I love it too because it's so earned. It's not this cheap thing.
Yeah.
Poe has literally gone through this arc, and I know people bitch about Holdo and all that, but I think Holdo was necessary to teach Poe that the hard way because he wouldn't listen to Leia. And if somebody else, like, what happens when you have a teacher in school that you get along with but tries to teach you to be less arrogant? You don't really listen to that teacher because you have a great relationship with them. What happens when a substitute teacher comes in and gives you the same spiel?
Absolutely.
You're going to listen to that.
Absolutely.
You've never
She's
met
the
them.
Substitute teacher, yeah.
Exactly. They came in and they told you the hard way, and you have to listen to them because they're your teacher for the day, but they're not going to take shit from you. Holdo was not going to take shit from Poe. I don't know what people wanted, bro, but you're in the middle of war. You're not going to take shit from somebody that can jeopardize your plan.
Yeah, and like the people who got mad that, like, I don't know, she was a woman, and it was this metaphor for shoving men in a corner. There's nothing wrong with that. Like, that is a lesson that some people need to learn. I am sorry. Like,
yeah,
Poe, didn't really have these traits in The Force Awakens. Maybe he did, and it was subtle. I don't really know. Who knows? But in The Last Jedi, when he sees Holdo, he's like, that's not what I expect. That's Battle of Chiron Belt, Holdo? She's not what I expected. It shows you that, like, he's surprised that a woman could be in that position. Now they've made him a little bit, like, tiny little bit of misogynist, and this is not what people wanted, I guess. But it fits.
I hate to break it to you, Lee, because there's a lot of people like Poe in that instance in this real world.
That's what I'm saying. A lot of people need this kind of lesson where it's like you should listen to women more. Because I hate to... Look, I'm really not trying to, like, white knight right now. I'm not.
No, exactly. No. And I agree with you, but women are very smart, bro.
One thing I get from a lot of women I talk to, like whether it's on a date or just friends of mine, is that they say that guys don't listen to them enough. They're like, I just want, someone to, like, actually pay attention to what I say and actually remember things that I tell them. And I'm just saying, this is a common problem.
I know, I've heard it too. I mean,
this is not my opinion. This is just what they're telling me. So the fact that this movie had that theme in it is just another example of it being way more mature than the people who saw it. I'm sorry, it just is. Just is.
And I hate to generalize that, man, because, like, I hate to be the filmmaker that and film fan and filmmaker that tells people how they should and should not perceive things. That's not my job to do that, but I hate it, but I have to say it, bro. I have to say it on this video because I got to put it out there once, and people can hate me, but opinions are opinions. I think The Last Jedi, the movie, Star Wars The Last Jedi, is just way too mature for most people these days. I'm sorry, it just is. Yeah, I think there's themes that, and I think, and to be fair, I totally believe this, and I could be wrong. I totally could be wrong, but it's everybody's subjective opinion. That I believe that the themes in Last Jedi, people didn't want to get on board with because it's too real for them. They don't want to go to the movies and be taught these lessons. But the whole fucking point of Star Wars is to learn lessons, bro.
Or any movie. Any movie. You should walk away and it should make you think about something in your life and make you feel more empowered about it or more whatever. Like, another scene that gets a lot of shit is Canto Bight. People don't like that it doesn't go anywhere, supposedly. Meanwhile, it does. Totally
it actually does.
Everywhere.
And that's one of my favorite. And actually, before you continue, I can say what you said in that video, but I totally agree with you with the Canto Bight stuff in that video, bro, because that you made, because I'm totally... And that's another reason I really connected with the video, because there's a lot of things you say about Canto Bight in that video that I agree with. Like, what... Like, people... shit on Canto Bight, they shit on Finn, they shit on Rose, they shit on DJ. Every single one, and let's take Finn as a central character, right? Finn needed Canto Bight in his life, he needed DJ in his life, and he needed Rose in his life. He needed an environment that looked all shiny and glossy, but had a scum of underbelly to teach him that the world and the universe, or the galaxy in the universe of Star Wars, isn't as glamorous as it looks on the surface. That's one. He needed people like DJ to show him that you cannot trust everybody, even though they can do what they say they can do. And he needed people like Rose to remind him that there's still good people in the galaxy. He needed to know that before he made his decision about whether to be a part of the Resistance or not.
Exactly.
Rose was his ticket to accepting himself as being a rebel and being part of the resistance. But then you have people that totally overlook that and say, oh, but Finn had the same fucking character arc twice. How did he have the same character arc twice? He never accepted being part of the resistance at end of Force Awakens.
Yeah.
Dude, the fool got
He was about to leave.
out, and the dude got literally knocked out and his back spliced open by a lightsaber, bro.
Yeah.
Like, you think he had time to comprehend any of that?
Yeah. I mean, I kind of get what people are saying. Maybe they wanted him to be like he is in Rise of Skywalker, but the Last Jedi takes place 5 minutes after The Force Awakens. Like, yeah, and, you know, Rey's gone, and he doesn't really have a reason to stick around, so he just says, I'm going to run. But
I think that's brilliant. I think that's brilliant.
Canto Bight's the kind of place he would have ran to, you know? Like, he probably wanted to run to, like, a nice, cool casino town, and, like, look what happens when you get there.
He even says it in the movie, bro. He has that line where he's like, why would you ever want to leave this place?
Right. But, you know, the reason why I brought up Canto Bight was because we were talking about, like, the good lessons in the movie that people just don't have time for. I can't fucking believe that people had a problem with them freeing the fathiers,
because
people are like, oh, it's vegan propaganda. Dude, like, seriously, stop smoking crack. It's a nice moment. That's all it is. Just like, think about if your kids were watching this. Your kids would love that scene, and you would want them to see a scene like that where people are being nice to animals.
You want your kids to respect animals, bro.
Yeah, like, if you have a problem with that, you need to smoke some weed, go outside, breathe in a little air, and, like, seriously, stop being a psycho. Like, it's a nice moment. You shouldn't be angry about that. Like, that Like, yeah. But Canto Bight is people didn't like it because of the plot reasons.
It's necessary. It's necessary. Because
I think it's great to have a scene in a movie where you can take a break from the heavy-duty storyline that's happening. I think it's great to just go to a Star Wars theme park and just fucking ride around on a cat horse and just see aliens and wreck shit. To me, that is enough of a reason to exist.
That's enough reason to exist, and bro, let me tell you, like, without that scene, you don't have Rose and Finn connecting. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, another reason why I feel like that scene in Canto Bight is so necessary is because, or the journey that Finn has with Rose, is because Rey is not always going to be in Finn's life, bro. Rey is going to be a Jedi. Rey has duties. Like, we don't know what's going to happen after Rise of Skywalker, but I'm sure, presumably, Rey will be back in some capacity. But Rey has a duty now to teach other Force users. She's not always going to be there in Finn's life, bro. And I think he needed to learn that they're not always going to be together. And to be fair, I don't know if you agree with this, since we're on the topic of Finn and Rose, like, I don't know what you were talking about people smoking crack and stuff and not realizing, and you even talk about that in the video, like, I definitely believe that Finn had an attraction for Rey in Force Awakens, no doubt, it's there, but
yeah.
if somebody says to my face that Rose didn't genuinely have an attraction to Finn and genuinely love him by the end of Last Jedi because of his personality and because of his change of heart, they're in denial, bro, because she loves him, bro. Even in Rise of Skywalker, when they have that mini scene where she's like, what are you doing? Oh, I gotta go and shoot down we gotta go shoot down the Star Destroyer and the and the radio and
Star Destroyers, and
the antenna, and she's like, no, I want to come with you. No, why are you doing it? She clearly still loves him, bro.
No, she doesn't want to come with him. He wants her to come with, and she's like, no, I gotta do some stuff.
No. I'm talking about the end. I'm talking about the end on top of the when they're fighting on Exegol, and he's with Janna, and they're trying to take out the control towers, and they're on that cannon, and they're trying to blow it up, and then Dominic Monaghan's there, and then Rose is there. She's like, Finn, what are you doing? She's like, oh, I gotta activate this cannon to take out the control towers. No, but we need to leave because the fleet's leaving. No, Rose, please, you gotta go.
Wow.
She clearly. she clearly still loves him, bro. And
Wow.
to be fair, the kiss was not awkward to me whatsoever at the end of Last Jedi.
Awkward?
It wasn't.
It was supposed to be a little like he was not expecting it. Yeah, I mean it's supposed to be a little awkward, but
Yeah,
it's a
but
great
I'm
moment.
saying I don't think people said it was awkward for her just to kiss him like that. I don't think it was. I think she genuinely
Who
liked
gives
him
a
enough.
Shit. Who cares about the kiss being awkward? Like who? My God. Hey, you know what? The Kylo and Rey kiss definitely made up for that. That was a hot kiss. Can we
That was a
disagree on
hot
that?
kiss. No, that was a hot kiss, bro. Because I'll tell you something. We're gonna get to another scene in Last Jedi, at which I don't care what other people say. That after the moment when and people are like, when did they give hints of them wanting to get down? Well, I'll tell you where. Because after Kylo cuts Snoke in half, and Rey grabs that lightsaber, and they both stand up before they fight the Praetorian guards. They have that one shot of them looking at each other, and you know that's the "I want to fuck you" look right there, bro. I'm telling you.
She's down. She seems definitely down in that moment. Or she's just I can't believe you did this. You really do care about me. Yeah, it's like that.
Yeah,
kinda...
she's like, you deserve me to put that my mouth all over that Jedi cock right now. That's literally how it was going down. And
it's a family movie, but yeah.
It's a family movie, but let's be honest. Like, the Reylos have one thing that they can go for, and I totally agree. It's the first time where opposites have the dark side and light side have a romance. And yes, it's a subtle, it's not a full-grown romance, but yes, Kylo and Rey have a romance. I believe that, and I feel that. They do have across the stars kind of love thing going on, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
and I think
cool.
And I think if people take the toxicity out of it, I think it's a very interesting thing. Because Rian Johnson even said it the best, where he's like, for Rey and Kylo, I felt like Rey and Kylo were two halves of the protagonist. So if you have light side in the dark, Rey and Kylo need each other to bridge the story forward. One doesn't work without the other. You know what I mean? And it's the yin. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the,
you want to talk about things I was wrong about? Because, when I saw Last Jedi, and I think I said this in my video about the movie, is that I thought the theme of this trilogy was going to be that you can't change your, abusive boyfriend, and that he's not going to turn good, and you need to let him go. Because Last Jedi kind of ended, to me, in a way where that kind of felt like where it was going. But she did change her abusive boyfriend. She made him better, and it's really hopeful, and that's great too. I mean, that's awesome.
That's great too.
I think the fact that, but that theme is still there though. Like in The Last Jedi, that is definitely what you're left with. It's like, okay, this is your abusive boyfriend. You need to let him go. When he's like, you're still holding on, and she chooses to fight with him again and fight over the saber. That's basically what's happening. He is showing he's still abusive. And yeah, the fact that the third movie kind of made it a little more positive and optimistic, that's awesome. And a good message, I guess. But at the same time, it's a little, it's a slightly problematic because, now the message is you can change an abuse, or maybe if he comes around. That's the thing. She kind of lets him go. She's like, I would have taken Ben's hand, She kind of ditches him again, tells him, yo, it's either Ben or nothing. None of this Kylo shit. And he kind of comes around on his own.
But I think that's kind of consistently because even in Last Jedi, she said, please, Ben, please don't go this way. I love that she references him by his real name, bro, because Adam Driver, as we know, is a fantastic actor. I mean, shit, the dude got nominated for an Oscar this year. I mean, the dude's fucking phenomenal. And I love that in Last Jedi, as emo as he is, you always have that slight, shit, there's that moment, when they touch hands, right? That when they zoom in on Adam Driver's face, there's that one little thing he does with his eye where you're like, I could see the goodness of Ben still in there. He just wants connection, bro. Like, what's the biggest... Like, if you strip everything about Kylo Ren outside of his show, what's the most integral thing that dude wants? He wants a genuine connection with someone that doesn't reject him. And he found that in Rey, bro. And I think Last Jedi did that beautifully.
Rey wants that, too.
Rey wants that, too.
Yeah, they both are, like... fucked on their own, but like also they did the most learning on their own at the same time, so it's like
and how crazy is it that Rian Johnson knows that in order to make something new you have to go beyond the norm, in that he basically mindfucked the audience in a good way, in my opinion, where it's like, you think Rey was gonna find solace in Luke and find acceptance in Luke? No, well, she goes and hopes for that, but the alternative is that she found acceptance in her greatest enemy, you know? And
you're absolutely right. When I first saw the movie and I realized that that's what was happening, like, you know, when she's talking to Kylo in the hut, and you really realize, like, wow, she's connecting more with Kylo than with Luke. I mean, the trailer alluded to that. You know, it showed her being like, I need someone to show me my place, and then it cut to Kylo with his hand out. We knew that was going to happen in the movie, but it's really well done. I think that is such a good moment when Luke and Rey are fighting, and you're just, it's like the stakes could not be higher right now. We really don't know if Luke is about to be revealed as bad, or if Rey is going to go with Kylo and become bad. Like, either one could have happened. Such a tense moment.
It is, and I saw it, like I told you, I saw it in IMAX, and I saw it in IMAX 7 times, like I told you, and imagine hadn't Luke come in and disturbed that conversation, could she have turned him right in that moment? You never know.
Yeah. I mean, in his mind,
if Luke hadn't come out and said stop, could she have convinced him to sort of change his ways? Possibly.
Yeah,
because
or maybe...
it was definitely looked like he was listening for a second.
Yeah, I don't really think there's as much evidence that, like, he was going to turn Rey evil. She's just so optimistic in that movie. In Rise of Skywalker, though.
No, I mean Rey changing Kylo.
Right. No, for sure. I just meant, like, I don't think the reverse was as likely. But in that moment where, Kylo Kimbo slices Snoke in half, you really
nice pun there, bro.
You really just, that's not even what a Kimbo slice is. But,
I know, but no. I know, but you made it a pun because of what we talked about off mic. That's kind of hilarious. Yeah.
But in that scene, like, it's this amazing spectacle. Like, we're seeing these Praetorian guards who are cool on their own, and we're seeing them get, like, literally shredded. It still is so shocking because now we're rooting for Kylo. Now we're like, yo, you go, Kylo. He's like fighting 3 of them at once with no weapon. Like, I did not expect to be rooting for Kylo when I went in to sit down and watch that movie. And you really do.
And you really do. And I think what's amazing about Rian Johnson, again, we're going to praise this man all over this fucking retrospective because he's the man. And
we could make fun of him too if you want to.
We can, but bro, like, what is not to say cool about this guy? You know what I mean? Like,
I love all of his movies. Although I'll be honest, I wasn't as into Brothers Bloom as the others. But it's still an incredibly well-made movie. I mean, just the shooting and the editing is insane in that one.
But you're talking, but the reason I bring Rian Johnson, and I think that Last Jedi has one of the best Star Wars scripts after Empire Strikes Back, because people shit on Rian Johnson for subverting expectation, but I think he subverts expectation in all the correct ways that people don't understand how film should actually subvert expectation. Because you talk about the Praetorian Guard scene, you're rooting for Kylo after, he cuts Snoke down in half, and Rey and Kylo fight the Praetorian Guards. But then you realize, oh yeah, I didn't kill him because I wanted to turn good. I killed him so I could take his place. and now I have the ultimate power to persuade you to join me. What an awesome kind of subversion
it's
that was.
It's so
dude.
great. Because, it's like, it was kind of silly to think. Although it wasn't, though. Like, in that moment, you do buy that, he did this for her.
And I'm sure he did. And I'm sure part of him it was. But then you realize, no, and I'm sure he did do it for her. But then he's realized, I think in his mind, Rian Johnson said in the commentary that before Ben walked into that room with Rey, he knew what he was going to do to Snoke in that elevator. So he knew what he was going to do. And I'm sure he also did cut Snoke in half for Rey, in hoping that by doing so, he would have persuaded her to turn to the dark side with him.
Yeah, you're right. But he probably did it to impress her and to ascend himself.
Let's be honest, bro. Let's be honest. The dude, I mean, I keep forgetting the guy that did this video, but it's such a great analogy, and I want to share it with the audience, and I want to share it with you, which is in Force, even in Last Jedi, same thing what we just talked about. And maybe they didn't intend, or J.J. Abrams and Lawrence Kasdan for Force Awakens didn't intend it to be that way, but just hear me out, because it's a great analogy that this dude had. I keep forgetting the guy's video, but if I find it, I'll put it in the description. So remember the fight scene on Starkiller Base with that duel between Finn and Kylo, right? Mm-hmm. And Rey got knocked down for a second. He alluded that fight to be sort of like a bar fight between two guys that were impressing a girl. And to be fair, in a weird way, it kind of is true. Finn is trying to protect his friend Rey, and Kylo is trying to seduce her to the dark side, and trying to defeat Finn to get him out of the way so he can take her and seduce her to the dark side. Again, when we talk about that Praetorian Guard fight scene, before the fight scene when he cuts Snoke in half, it's another dude just trying to impress a girl. Like, in a weird way, and we know that he's in love with her, and we know that he does these very emo things to try to get her attention. It's done in such a subtle way where it's kind of adorable in a weird way, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, he definitely just becomes a really likable villain in that moment. And Snoke is also likable, I think, but in the moment when he gets killed, he's not very likable anymore. Andy Serkis is just an amazing actor anyway, so he's always going to nail the roles that he plays. I want to bring up something interesting into this conversation, because I don't think a lot of people have talked about this. We both, let's just preface it, we both love Rian Johnson. We both love what he did with the script. We both love what he did with the movie. And I wanted to talk about two aspects about the making of the movie, which I find so interesting that I think people need to understand, which kind of alludes back to us talking about how people actually really don't understand how a movie is made, in the sense that you don't say.
Rian Johnson didn't just challenge the characters in the movie. He challenged the actors on his set. Because, yes, Mark Hamill fundamentally disagreed with Luke Skywalker's character was going. Yes, John Boyega might have been a little iffy on how Finn was going. Daisy Ridley seemed to have the most appreciation, I would say, for what was going on out of what happened in the Last Jedi. But I think it's important to challenge your actors, because I feel like, and I've done acting classes. I've been a drama student in all of high school. I've directed actors in college. I've directed actors on set before. I think it's very important to challenge, especially in a serialized story, which is in its 8th episode at the time. I think it's very important to challenge your actors to play a side of a character that they might necessarily not agree with, because I think it just helps them grow as performers, because it's a side that they might have never tapped into as performers. I've never seen Mark Hamill be that guy before. Yes, he's played the trickster. Yes, he's played the Joker. But those guys are just maniacal bad guys that we know are comic book villains, which are great. I mean, nothing wrong with that. But we've never seen him play a complex character like this side of Luke. And I think that really challenged Mark Hamill in a way that
I don't know.
He never did.
I don't know if he has. But yeah, I mean, he's challenged because the number one person that doesn't want their character to look bad is the person playing them. But that just comes from a place of knowing that you're the face of this character. People are going to refer to you as their character. They're going to blame you for the character, and you just want to make them happy. You're just afraid that all these people who really are looking forward to seeing you do this character again, you just don't want to disappoint them.
Exactly.
But it must be the hardest thing in the world. I can't even imagine.
Yeah, but I think it's really I think it's very brave of Rian Johnson to challenge his actors to take on new directions to their characters. And which brings me to another thing, Lee, which is about Rian Johnson challenging his crew, which is, I believe The Last Jedi, and again, I know I'm sucking all over this movie, but I think this is what this video is about. We wouldn't have made it if we weren't going to do that. I think that The Last Jedi score by John Williams is the best score of the sequel trilogy, because
for sure.
I feel like, I mean, how many fucking new themes do we get in this soundtrack? I mean, Rian Johnson challenged John Williams, and you can feel it. You can feel that John Williams was taken out of his comfort zone for Star Wars. I mean, I'll be honest, this is the most original Star Wars score since the prequels, because the prequels are all new music, and I think, I mean, I know that's not a high pedestal to put it on, but I think it's the most original Star Wars score we've heard since Revenge of the Sith came out, and Revenge of the Sith came out almost more than a decade ago, so I think it's just very interesting to just hear this. We have a new Luke theme. We have a new Ahch-To theme. We have the Canto Bight theme. We have an updated Rey theme, updated Kylo theme, a Snoke theme. Like,
Rose kind of has a theme.
Rose has a theme. Man, it's so good. Like,
the music for Luke walking out and facing the AT-ATs is like seriously one of my favorite pieces of Star Wars music.
And if people don't, and I've seen a lot of people trash this score too, which I don't understand why you can trash John Williams in anything.
Score? Who the heck is doing that?
I've seen videos of that, bro. Maybe they're not a lot of them, but I've seen people saying the score was mediocre. It didn't take anything to new places. And let's be honest, John Williams' music in any of his movies tells the story. It doesn't just create themes for the sake of themes. It helps drive the story. What's playing when Luke is walking out to face Kylo?
Vader.
A part of the Imperial March theme, bro.
Yeah, the Skywalker's blood. He's doing it for his whole family now. He's gonna try to redeem Kylo, but also not try. It's funny. He's like, "Are you here to save my soul?" No, but he kind of is there.
He kind of is there to do that.
He's there to save his friends, and then like maybe plant a seed in Kylo that might help him, which I don't even know if it works or doesn't, but. The scene of him just being humiliated in front of his entire army and realizing that he's just been swinging a saber at a guy who's not even there, it's just fucking genius. And that whole scene where they're firing lasers at Luke and Kylo's just yelling, more, more, and Hux is like, that's enough. If you don't enjoy that scene, you just shouldn't be watching movies. I'm sorry.
Or shouldn't be watching Star Wars in general, bro. And it's super fun. And Crate is my favorite part of the movie. I'm going to be honest with you.
So good. It's so good, dude.
So good, bro, because... and I'll tell you, bro, I might have to share this with you because I have the recording sessions from Last Jedi. And because, I usually get... the
recording sessions?
Recording sessions. So usually, and I don't give this out to everybody, obviously, but being in the industry, I've obtained soundtracks that are not the commercial release soundtracks. They are the full, complete, uncut score. So I have the complete uncut score of Last Jedi. So I have, for real. I have the entire uncut score for Last Jedi. So I'm gonna have to send you a track or two so you can listen to that,
dude. A track or two. Do you have Rise of Skywalker too, or no?
I don't have that yet, no.
See, that one I'm going to say is like the most frustrating soundtrack of all time. Like, all the best pieces of music are not on it. All the really good moments that when I saw the film, I was just like, oh, hell yeah. Cannot wait to bump this. None of them are on it.
Yeah, I know. Specifically when Lando appears with all the ships.
Oh, really? Is that not on it either? Jesus.
That's not on it either. No, man.
I'm thinking more like, okay, Rey training at the beginning, like jumping in the trees. It's like a sped up version of her theme. Not on the, not there at all. When Poe and Finn are like flying away from the TIE fighters at the very beginning, and it's like a speedy Emperor action theme. Not
That's
in
on.
it.
I have that because I have the For Your
Oh, do you?
Consideration album. Yeah, I do.
Oh, that I would like to have if you can send it to me.
That'd be awesome, man. Again, like I don't share this with everybody, but like the score for Last Jedi, bro, like I have the recording sessions, and what's interesting, and the reason I bring that up is because the tracks on the original soundtrack like last for 2 to 3 minutes. The entire crate cue on the recording sessions is 15 minutes, bro.
Really?
Yeah, the whole thing is 15
That's incredible.
minutes. Yeah, because if you listen to it on its own, like the full uncut soundtrack, they cut segments out of it that are not even in the original soundtrack release.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So do
so
you think
good.
the scene was originally really long, or are they just
No.
giving
It's what people don't get, and I'm happy to explain this to you, Lee. Is like when you buy a commercially released soundtrack, they don't give you the entire movie, nor do they give you the complete scenes. Sometimes they're cut, sometimes they're mixed, sometimes the scenes are mixed together. Like recording set, so it's literally the complete score as you hear it, as you watch the movie uncut.
Okay. So it's 15 minutes in the movie.
Yeah, it's 15 minutes in the movie, but it's only 3 minutes
Okay.
on the CD.
Right. Very cool. Oh, man, I would
So,
love to hear that.
So, like, the score on, like, the track called Last Jedi on the original soundtrack is just... It just starts from when Luke faces Kylo and they're doing... It starts right after Rey says moving rocks, and it's Luke fighting Kylo all the way to his death. On the recording sessions, it's from the lasers blasting Luke all the way to where he dies.
Wow.
So
Yeah, because that part where they're blasting him is definitely not on the soundtrack. Yeah,
that's all on there. That's all on there, bro.
Wow.
It's all a 15-minute track.
Incredible. Yeah, with Last Jedi, I don't think there was as much missing, but with Rise of Skywalker, I was just like, okay, what happened here? Like, give me something.
No, I'll show you. I'll show you the track list off camera, Lee, because it's a lot. Like, it's not so much how much is missing; it's how much has been cut. Because literally, the opening scene, the first track is main titles, and I think it's main titles and Escape from
Exegol.
Dakar.
Yeah, that's the other thing.
No, Dakar. From not Rise of Skywalker. I'm talking about Last Jedi.
Last Jedi.
Wait, yeah.
Gotcha.
They have the entire opening scene is a 16-minute track that is only 4 minutes on the CD.
Wow.
It's crazy, bro.
That much.
But John Williams has a history of compiling the best of the score and making it more of a concert suite, so it's more of a listening experience. So John Williams really likes to do a condensed version on his CDs. He actually records he actually re-records it for the CD as well. The dude just never stops working. Like,
you'll probably... Do you know, I mean, I'm guessing it's the same reason, but is that why, like, for example, Rise of Skywalker's song order is totally not what you see in the... But, like, the Death Star is, like, the 4th track.
Exactly. People have a tendency to do that on the releases, too. Yeah, like I said, I don't really share it with anybody because it's personal and, people that are... people that send it to me as gifts and stuff from the industry, but I've acquired a lot of recording sessions over my life, and it's just an amazing listen to listen to the composer's entire intent. You know what I mean? I just really feel bad that the public doesn't get to hear that because...
Yeah,
go ahead.
I was going to say, why is The Last Jedi the only movie that has a score-only version that you can watch? They should all do it. All 9 of them should have that.
All 9 of them should do that, and it's crazy, bro. It's not even on the disc. It's only on Movies Anywhere.
You know what's weird, too? When I saw Solo for the first time, I did not like the music, just in the context of the movie. I mean, some of it was great, but I thought it was just a little corny, and I don't know, wasn't really what I had expected. And then listening to it on its own... It's become so like my all-time favorite soundtrack. I mean, I'm obsessed with listening to. I've probably listened to that one honestly more than any other movie because on its own, it's so much better.
It's so good, and I absolutely adore the Solo soundtrack.
Love
and it's
it.
actually it's actually composed by one of my favorite film composers, John Powell.
Love John Powell so much.
John Powell's amazing, bro. And if they ever make Solo 2, which Solo is an underrated movie, bro, I need a sequel to that immediately.
Totally.
They should bring John Powell back to score it, because I felt like he honored John Williams, the utmost respect he can give John Williams with his themes, but he added his own in there as well.
Well, it really took listening to it on its own for me to actually hear what was going on. And I don't know if you've noticed this, but a couple of like moments in these new Star Wars movies, I don't think the music is loud enough, especially in Force Awakens, I noticed too. Like there's a lot going on, and I think there's just so much sound design and explosions and this and that, and it's packed with action because it's Star Wars, that you need to listen to this shit on its own to really get what's going on in the music sometimes. But
I think bringing it back to Last Jedi and the whole point of the video, like, I think Last Jedi mixed the score incredibly well, unlike most of the movies, I feel.
Yeah, it was definitely...
Because if you remember watching Last Jedi in the theater, that score was blasting loud.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Like, I didn't notice moments being lost as much in that movie. Yeah, there's a lot more moments where like the music is really up front.
You're talking about a scene that has tons of sound effects when they're blasting Luke with all the lasers. You can still hear that score blasting behind
That's true. That is true. That's a good point.
Yeah, man. Like, I think we've both expressed our love for the movie, and I think it's just one of those movies that I just really hope gets appreciated down the line. I really, really hope it does, because I know we troll and we don't toxically put people down, but we make fun of the opinions that we might not agree with, but all in good fun. It's never to put anybody down toxically, but I can't help but just feel bad for Rian Johnson sometimes, and I can't help but feel bad that this was a movie that I wish was received well by people. I really wish it was, because I think it deserved it to. Not just because of the film, not just because of the filmmaking, not just because of the insane amount of talent behind and hard work. I just think it's a movie that the world and I'm really not political, and I'm really not that sentimental, but I think Last Jedi is a movie that the era at the time that the world we live in now it needs a story like Last Jedi to lift people up. I think it really does.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many messages in the movie that if you can just forget for a second that it's like has to be a Star Wars movie and it needs to adhere to the lightsaber force physics.
Well,
if you just drop that for a second and just focus on what it's trying to do as a film, I think it's just easier to enjoy it. It's just like you're not kidding yourself, you know?
Yeah, and it's hilarious you bring up the lightsabers, because one of the biggest trolls in the video you made about Last Jedi, which I found freaking hilarious, which I hate to kiss ass, but I totally laughed my ass off when I watched it, was when you have the clips of people being like, there are no lightsaber training and no lightsaber dueling or whatever, and then you have the clip of Rey training on her own on Ahch-To with the lightsaber, with John Williams score in the background, with Luke spectating over the cliff, and you're like, so you don't consider this lightsaber training? Like, what else did you think it was? Like, what else did you want?
I don't even remember saying that.
You did. No, there's. I think it was Amazing Lucas that said there's no meaningful lightsaber.
He was saying it was a montage, and I was like, that ain't a montage. Like, it's a montage of shots, if you want to talk, like, technical...
Yeah. No, but I believe, I might be mistaken, but I believe there's a segment in the video where somebody says there aren't any meaningful lightsaber moments, and you cut to that moment where she's training on Ahch-To, and you're like, so you don't consider this training, and you don't consider this a meaningful lightsaber moment. And I'm like, in fact, it's probably the most picturesque lightsaber moment we've ever seen in any of the films. I think to train on that cliff, really in Ireland, on Ahch-To, across the ocean, with Luke Skywalker behind you, training with that lightsaber, with John Williams' Ahch-To theme in the background, like, it doesn't get better than that, dude. And
it's a cool scene. I mean, it just looks amazing.
Yeah, and let's talk about how fucking amazing Steve Yeldlin's cinematography in that movie is. And again, I hate to ride on the bandwagon of Last Jedi, but again, like, this is what this video is about. I think it's the most beautiful Star Wars looking. It's the most beautiful looking Star Wars movie, and I even said it to you off mic, Lee, that I think even there's, and you said it the best. Like, unlike maybe you had like the prequel trilogy and then you had the original trilogy, but especially, and I don't want to discredit anyone because everybody works hard. I'm in the industry of film. I know how hard people work behind the scenes on marketing, but there's just something about the posters and the trailers and the marketing for The Last Jedi with that tint of red on, just reflecting off everybody's costume, and then the Salt's Mines of Crate just having that red come up behind them with the ships, dragging the anchor on the salt mines. Like, there's so much art and
style.
Style went into it, and it just feels very original. Don't you agree?
You were talking about Steve Yedlin. I mean, him and Rian Johnson are like, synonymous. Like,
they went to film school together. They're best friends.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's done the cinematography in every Rian Johnson movie because they all, like, even Looper and even Knives Out, they all have that really grainy, in a good way, film look. They just look, you can tell they were shot on film. There's no mystery about that. It ain't no video camera, no red, none of that shit. And like, all of his movies look like that. Just crisp, good, very just harsh lighting sometimes, but like very natural lighting. I love the space battles in Last Jedi that just look like they're being lit by a sun. You know what I mean? Like, towards the beginning.
It's not. It doesn't even feel artificial. And let's be fair, like,
so cool.
And you talk about film grain. Like, I've said this to my listeners, and I've said it to you off camera, that I on the side of being an editor, I preserve IMAX 70mm film and 35mm film on celluloid. And Last Jedi is one of the film prints that I've recently acquired. So I've got to do a screening of that soon. If we can get Rian Johnson to come on and do a Q&A after, that'd be amazing, man. Like, wow.
Don't tease me now.
Oh man, I will definitely hit you up on that because I've posted I've posted shots of the scans that I've done of the film on my Twitter. I'm going to send you some scans after this recording so you can take a look. But boy, does it look beautiful, and you can fucking tell. You can tell this shit is shot on film. I love film. I love digital. I love both of them. As a filmmaker myself, I adore both mediums for what they have to do. And shit, I mean, Steve Yedlin just shot the shit out of these movies. And we talk about all this, Lee. We talk about the characters. We talk about the movie. We talk about story. Rian Johnson. We talk about the score, the actors, the characters. And it all comes down to one fundamental thing, is when people bitch uncontrollably about shit that doesn't matter and oversee the beauty in these movies, especially Last Jedi, which is the topic of this video, they forget how much fucking hard work goes into this. And I know, because I myself have been put down by people that don't think my job is hard work. And it's just real life. And people are going to be like that.
That's crazy.
But it's so close-minded, and I don't care if there's a listener, if there's a listener here that disagrees with everything that we've said about the movie. I don't care if but as long as you're not a dickhead to other people, just take it with what you will. It comes down to the simple fact that people have ruined the movie-going experience for people, and the only way we can come back as a fan base and just be excited about these movies is if you can stop being dicks to people, and if you can stop just being a jackass and don't say things you wouldn't say to people's face. I guarantee you, majority of you do not have the balls to say what you've said online to Rian Johnson's face. And if you actually do have the balls to say to his face, number one, fuck you, and number two, I actually commend you for doing that, because most people won't have the balls to do that. But it just comes down to it, don't it, Lee, that people just don't understand that these are human beings like us that make movies that put blood, sweat, and tears, and they just think it's a creation that they own. But no, it actually belongs to the filmmakers that are generous enough to share their art with you. You know, because I'll be honest, and I'm so glad that we talked about it, because people want the number one, and I don't know how you feel about this, but I've talked to some people that agree and disagree, but I totally agree with this, that people want to separate the Rian Johnson the Rian Johnson attacks from the George Lucas attacks. Why do you think George Lucas gave up wanting to make more Star Wars movies, bro? Because he's been on record. George has a big mouth, and we know this, and we love him for it. He speaks the truth and only the truth, and he said on multiple videos and multiple appearances that, why would I make more movies where all I get is shit from people and I get no appreciation? And I've said this on Twitter and I've gotten backlash, and I do not care because I will post it again at some point if it continues, because it will continue. People are doing the same thing to Rian Johnson, bro. It's the same horrible acts that they inflicted on George Lucas that they're not doing to Rian Johnson. And
well, I think it's because
and the tenacity they have, Lee, is like, I know there are a lot of Star Wars prequel defenders. I'm one of them. I love all Star Wars, everything Star Wars. I'm just biased like that, but I know the fakes in the audience. I can tell a fake from a real fan. Anybody can. There just comes a point where they say so much BS that you eventually catch on to them being BS themselves. How could you say that you're a fan of the prequels and a fan of George Lucas when you're the same person that did the same shit to George Lucas as you're doing the Rian Johnson? It's hypocritical. It's scummy. It's just fucking... You're just like just a speck of flesh that it's just not going to matter, bro, because at the end of the day, people remember people with better common courtesy than people that are toxic. I mean, how many of the videos that trash Last Jedi do we remember besides the ones that have been documented? None of them, really, because we love Last Jedi and we don't care what...
Well, I remember them because I spend a little too much time with them.
I'm saying in general, I remember them too. I'm not talking about people like that. People like us.
People shouldn't remember them. Yeah, most people should forget.
You and I can't. You and I can't forget it. Yeah, because we've been immersed in it. But I'm saying, like, if you love the movie, you should not care what other people think, and you shouldn't care. I've been getting a lot of comments, Lee, about saying, "Oh, we're scared of you being a filmmaker now because you like Rian Johnson's Last Jedi." Get the fuck out, bro! Like, people are inspired. People are inspired into movies because they love movies that have inspired them. And if Last Jedi inspires me the way it does, good on me for liking that. And if people have been inspired by Last Jedi themselves or any other big fandom, the franchise, then good on them. I love people that like movies that I don't like. I love movies. I love that people love movies that I can't find myself to enjoy. And sometimes, Lee, I wish I enjoyed it like them. I wish I did. Sure. I really wish I did. But
I always wish I'd. Yeah, it's like I want to like stuff. I don't think it's fun I mean, it's fun to trash stuff, but it's not fun to dislike a lot of shit and not like stuff. That's just lame. That's no way to live. Life is short. I'd rather find things to enjoy. And
exactly.
So yeah, I would always be like jealous or envious if someone's into something that I'm not into. Like I'm not really that into sports.
I'm not. Me neither.
So, like, that's something that I just wish I could talk to people about. Like, it would just be cool to have another interest or something to shoot the shit about. Like, that's great. I'm a little envious of people that are into that. I'm just really not into it, and I don't think I'm ever going to be. But, yeah.
But you know how it is. I mean, it just comes off to the... it just comes off as the basic principle of, like... Just because you don't agree with something with somebody doesn't mean that it gives you the excuse to be a jackass towards them. Like, Rian Johnson is the prime example of what fandom should be. And they're just not going to be that, bro. That's just the sad thing about it. But listen, we love the movie. I know there's a lot of people that love the movie. And to be honestly, like, I've talked to a lot of people. There's a lot of people that love Last Jedi because they just appreciated it for what it is. And I'm not a guy to say, oh, you shouldn't like this or you shouldn't like that. And it's not my job as a fan, or it's not my job more foremost as a filmmaker to tell people that they should love my own personal work or not. And I'm speaking as a filmmaker myself. I shouldn't be able to. It's not my job to force people to like my content, but I hope that they appreciate what we were going for, and I hope they appreciate that other people might like it, and I hope that they know that it's okay for other people to like it. But that's not the world we live in, Lee. So I think video discussions about something like Last Jedi, like we just had, is important, because I think it's important to let people know that it's okay to geek out about a movie or any sort of entertainment that, like we just did. That it's okay to do that, and you shouldn't have people put you down for that. You know what I mean?
No, I mean, I don't get put down because I like the movie. I get put down because I put other people down. I totally deserve whatever flack I get. You probably don't. Most people don't. Yeah, you're right, though. It's like if you do a video simply praising the movie, not shitting on other people, you're going to get shit for that, too. So that does happen. But the thing about it is, Lee, it's like I think you put yourself down a little bit, because I've seen majority of your videos, and I know it's quite funny to watch. You trashing other people, and let's be honest, we're humans, and we enjoy putting people down sometimes. It's just human nature. It doesn't make us bad people. It's just you have to know how to do it in a tasteful way. Exactly.
But the thing about your videos, Lee, is like what I really enjoy is like I know that you like trolling, and I know that you enjoy trashing certain people, but I think by you still trashing them, I still think that you don't trash people toxically. You know what I mean?
Let's not use the word trash. Let's use the word I don't know, critiquing.
Yeah, you critique people for things that you don't agree with other people on, and sometimes more flamboyant than others. But the way I put it, Lee, is that you do it in a way of a good sport. You don't do it in a toxic way. There was nothing in that Last Jedi video that was toxic, because you just let the people that you were representing expose themselves for what they are. You didn't do it, they did. You were using them as an example.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, that's I think so too, but it's everyone can think what they want. It's all good. If you just strongly disagree with the things that someone is saying, you're not going to care how reasonable they think they're being, because to you, it's still just wrong. So it doesn't matter.
Well, exactly. Well, I'm looking forward to that Rise of Skywalker video you got coming out, because that's going to be a fun watch. That's going to be an epic video. Well, Lee, there's so much more we could talk about Last Jedi, but I feel like we got to the nooks and crannies of everything we want to talk about. It's all good, man.
All good.
Yeah, so it was fun, and if we ever have a part 2, you're always welcome back on the channel to talk more. I mean, hell, we might even have to do a Rise of Skywalker video at some point.
I'm down to hang whenever, man.
Man.
I mean, I'm sorry it took me so long to be around for this one, but as soon as I can, I'd love to do it again.
Definitely, man. So where can people find you on YouTube and your social media?
Oh, good Lord. I think it's just youtube.com/Lee Lustig. Let me just make sure that is a fact.
Yeah, and you're Maj0r Lee on Twitter, I believe.
Yeah, youtube.com/Lee Lustig, LeeLustig. And then on Twitter, boy, oh boy.
It's Maj0r Lee,
Twitter.com/Lee_Lustig.
Lustig. And your handle is Maj0r Lee, and your YouTube name is Maj0r Lee as well.
Yeah, I'm not much of a tweeter. I'm not much of a YouTuber even. I don't upload constant content, but
the content that does go up is very entertaining, I must say, though.
I really appreciate that, man. I'm really glad that you've been able to enjoy some stuff. That makes me happy.
Yeah, man. So, you guys could always find me at I'm a Film Editor on Twitter and Instagram, and right here on YouTube as the Filmmaking and Fandom Station. We would like to thank Lee for coming on the show. This was a great conversation. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And Lee will be back with more videos in the future. I intend to have you back on, man.
Awesome, dude. Sounds great. Thanks
all right,
again.
so I hope you all enjoyed the video, and may the Force be with you.